"Ma'am, you cannot fly like that." The words cut through the cabin like a blade. Passengers looked up from phones and magazines. Row 12. A woman in a faded blue headscarf clutched her boarding pass with trembling hands. Flight attendant Jessica Monroe stood in the aisle, arms crossed. Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're clearly unwell. I can't allow you to board." The woman's voice was soft, exhausted. "I have medical clearance. My doctor approved." "I don't care what your doctor said." Jessica's tone dripped with impatience. "Look at you. You're shaking. You're pale. This is a safety issue." The woman, Dr. Maya Reese, tightened her grip on her carry-on. Her knuckles went white. She'd flown dozens of times during treatment. Never had she been humiliated like this. A man in a business suit leaned across the aisle. "Let her sit down. At least." Jessica shot him a glare. "Sir, I'm doing my job." Maya's throat tightened. She could feel every eye on her. Judging, pitying. She wanted to scream that she was a doctor, that she saved lives, that she was more than this moment. But exhaustion swallowed her words. Jessica reached for her radio. "Gate agent. We have a passenger who needs to deplane." Maya's vision blurred, not from illness, from rage, from helplessness. A teenager in the back row held up her phone. Recording. Jessica noticed. She didn't care. "Ma'am, you need to leave now." Security appeared at the cabin door. Officers. Their faces were neutral, professional. Maya stood slowly. Her legs felt like lead. She looked at Jessica one last time. "I'm a doctor," she whispered. "I know my body." Jessica's expression didn't change. "Then you should know better." The words hung in the air like poison. Maya walked down the aisle. Every step felt like surrender. Passengers averted their eyes. The teenager kept filming. As Maya stepped off the plane, Jessica returned to her station. She straightened her uniform, checked her watch, smiled at the next boarding passenger. She had no idea what she'd just done. "Where are you from?" Drop your location in the comments below. And if you're loving this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more. But 30 minutes into the flight, everything would change. 3 weeks earlier, Dr. Maya Reese stood in her oncology clinic, bathed in fluorescent light. A 6-year-old boy sat on the examination table, eyes wide with fear. Maya knelt to his level. "Do you like superheroes?" The boy nodded. Double quotes. "Well, guess what? You're one. And this medicine." She held up a small vial. "It's your superpower. It makes you strong enough to fight the bad guys in your body." The boy's mother wiped tears. Maya squeezed her hand. "He's doing great. Really." After they left, Maya's colleague, Dr. Patel, appeared in the doorway. "You're pushing too hard again." Maya pulled off her gloves. "I'm fine. You had chemo 2 days ago. You should be resting. I rest when my patients rest." Maya's smile was tired but genuine. "Which is never." Dr. Patel sighed. "The Chicago conference is in 3 weeks. You're still planning to go?" "I have too. My research on reducing pediatric chemo side effects could change treatment protocols nationwide." Maya's eyes lit up. "This matters. Sam, so does your health." Maya touched the scarf wrapped around her head. A new addition. Her hair had started falling out last month. She'd cried once, alone in her bathroom. Then she'd bought 10 colorful scarves and moved on. At home that evening, Maya packed her conference bag. Laptop, research notes, medication. She stared at her reflection in the bedroom mirror. The woman looking back was thinner, paler, but still here. Her phone buzzed. Flight confirmation. Chicago O'Hare. Gate. C14 7:45 a.m. She exhaled slowly. This trip would be worth it. Meanwhile, across the city, Jessica Monroe rushed through the airport parking garage. Late again. Her shift started in 20 minutes. She'd overslept after working a double the day before. Jessica had been a flight attendant for 8 years. She used to love it, the travel, the people, the adventure. Now, it felt like an endless loop of complaints, delays, and exhaustion. She grabbed her coffee from the cough holder. Cold. She drank it anyway. Her phone buzzed with a message from her supervisor. "Remember, we have 0 tolerance for safety violations. Stay sharp. Jessica rolled her eyes. She knew the rules. She followed them. Sometimes passengers just didn't understand that flying was a privilege, not a right. She thought about the passenger last month who'd argued about a carry-on, the one before that who'd been drunk, the woman who'd screamed about a crying baby. Jessica had learned to shut down emotions. Be firm, be efficient, don't engage. It was easier that way. She had no idea that in 3 weeks, that philosophy would destroy her. The morning of the flight, Maya woke at 4 a.m. Her body ached a dull, persistent throb that never fully left. She took her medication with water and toast, checked her bag 3 times. At the airport, she moved slowly through security. The TSA agent glanced at her medical clearance letter, nodded. Let her through. Gate C-14 was crowded. Maya found a seat near the window and closed her eyes. Just a few more hours, then Chicago, then the conference, then she could rest. Boarding began. Group 3. That was her dot. She stood feeling the weight of her carry-on. Her hands trembled, slightly a side effect of the chemo. She'd learned to ignore it. She walked down the jet bridge. The flight attendants smiled at the entrance. Maya tried to smile back. Jessica Monroe stood near row 12, directing passengers to overhead bins. She glanced at Maya and froze. The headscarf, the pale skin, the trembling hands, the slow, careful movements. Jessica's instincts kicked in, the same ones that had kept flights safe for years. This woman looked sick, really sick. Maya reached her seat, 12C window. She started to lift her bag. Ma'am. Jessica's voice was sharp. You don't look well. Maya turned. I'm fine. I have medical clearance from my oncologist. The word hung between them. Oncologist. Jessica's expression hardened. If you're undergoing cancer treatment, you shouldn't be flying. It's dangerous. Maya's voice was calm, professional. I'm a doctor. I know my limits. I'm cleared to fly. Jessica's eyes narrowed. If you're really a doctor, you'd know how risky this is. Several passengers had stopped moving, watching, listening. A man in 11B spoke up. Maybe let her sit down first. Jessica ignored him. Ma'am, I need you to This is a safety issue. Maya felt heat rising in her chest. I have every right to be on this flight. I'm not contagious. I'm not a danger to anyone. You're shaking. Jessica pointed at Maya's hands. You can barely hold your bag. That's a side effect of chemotherapy. It doesn't make me unfit to fly. Jessica reached for her radio. Her tone was final. Gate agent. We need assistance at row 12. Maya's voice broke. Please. I have a conference. It's important. I can't miss it. You should have thought of that before boarding. Jessica's face was stone. I'm not risking other passengers because you're too stubborn to admit you're sick. The words hit like a slap. A woman across the aisle whispered to her husband. A teenager in the back pulled out her phone, started recording. Security arrived within minutes. Officers, calm and professional. Ma'am, we need you to come with us, one said gently. Maya looked at Jessica, really looked at her. There was no compassion there, no understanding, just cold certainty. Maya nodded slowly. She grabbed her bag. Her hands were shaking harder, now not from chemo, but from humiliation. She walked back up the aisle. Every face turned away, except the teenager, still recording. As Maya disappeared into the jet bridge, Jessica exhaled, turned to the passengers. We'll be departing shortly. Thank you for your patience. A man in 14, muttered. That was harsh. Jessica didn't respond. She'd done her job, protected the flight. That's all that mattered. The door sealed. The plane pushed back. Jessica had no idea the video was already uploading. Maya sat in the terminal, staring at nothing. Her bag rested at her feet. Her boarding pass, now useless, crumpled in her hand. Around her, travelers rushed past. Announcements echoed. Life continued, but Maya felt frozen. Her chest was tight, not from illness, from anger so pure it burned. She'd spent 2 years fighting cancer, fighting for her patients, fighting to keep living, working, contributing, and in 30 seconds, a stranger had reduced her to nothing. You're too sick. You don't belong here. You should know better. Maya closed her eyes. She thought of her mother, a nurse, who'd died 5 years ago. Cancer. The same kind Maya had now. Her mother had worked through treatment too. Dignity is quiet, she used to say. Cruelty is loud. Maya had been quiet. She'd explained calmly. Shown her medical clearance, tried to reason, and cruelty had won. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Patel, on your way. Maya stared at the screen. She couldn't bring herself to explain. Not yet. She opened her airline app. The next flight to Chicago was in 6 hours. She booked it. First class. This time, maybe they'd treat her better. Another text, this time from a patient's mother. Thank you for everything, Dr. Reese. Emma is cancer-free because of you. Maya's throat tightened. She thought of Emma. 7 years old, bright smile. Bald head from chemo. She'd never looked at Emma with pity or disgust. She'd seen strength. Why couldn't anyone see that in her? Maya stood slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she forced them to move. She found a quiet corner near a window, sat down, breathed. 6 hours. She could survive 6 hours, and then she'd get to Chicago. She'd present her research. She'd prove that she was more than this moment. But deep down, a question gnawed at her. How many others have been treated like this? Maya's mother had taught her about strength long before cancer entered their lives. She was 8 years old, sitting in the hospital cafeteria while her mother worked a double shift. A boy at the next table pointed at an elderly man with an oxygen tank. He looks weird, the boy said loudly. Maya's mother appeared instantly. She knelt beside the boy. Her voice was gentle. That man is breathing with help from a machine. One day you might need help too. And when that happens, would you want someone to call you weird? The boy's face reddened. He shook his head. Maya's mother smiled. Good. Now go apologize. Later, Maya asked, why did you do that? Because people forget that sickness doesn't make you less human. It makes you human. Her mother squeezed her hand. Never judge someone's pain, Maya. You don't know what battle they're fighting. Maya carried those words into medical school, into her residency, into her practice. When she was diagnosed at T4, she remembered them again. Stage 2, breast cancer. Aggressive, treatable, but brutal. Her colleagues urged her to take leave. She refused. My patients need me, she insisted. The truth was, she needed them. They gave her purpose. A reason to keep fighting. Chemotherapy became routine. Monday mornings, she'd sit in the infusion center, 4 in her arm, laptop on her knees. She'd answer emails, review patient charts, refuse to stop. Her research on pediatric oncology became her lifeline. Children responded differently to chemo than adults. Their bodies, their immune systems, their resilience all unique. If she could reduce side effects, even by 10%, she could change lives. The Chicago conference was her chance. A room full of oncologists, researchers, pharmaceutical reps, decision-makers. If she presented her findings well, she could secure funding, expand trials, save more children. Missing, it wasn't an option. Back in the terminal, Maya pulled out her notes. She reviewed slides, checked data, forced her mind to focus. Her phone buzzed again. A message from little Liam, 6 years old, leukemia, her patient for 2 years. The message was a photo. Liam grinning, holding a drawing, a stick figure in a doctor's coat. A heart. The words, "Thank you for being my hero, Dr. Reese." Maya's vision blurred. She saved the photo, set it as her lock screen. This is why, she thought, this is why I keep going. Jessica Monroe would never understand that. She'd only seen weakness, but Maya knew the truth. Surviving wasn't weakness. It was the hardest thing she'd ever done, and she was still here. 30 minutes into Flight 447, chaos erupted. Row 18, a woman in a business suit, suddenly gasped. Her hand flew to her chest. Her face went pale, then gray. "Help," she choked out. "I can't breathe." The man beside her jumped up. "Someone help her." Jessica rushed down the aisle. Her training kicked in instantly. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" The woman's eyes were wide with terror. She nodded weakly. Jessica grabbed the intercom. "Is there a doctor on board? We have a medical emergency." Silence. Passengers looked around. No one moved. Jessica tried again, louder. "If there's a doctor or medical professional on this flight, please, identify yourself immediately." Nothing. Another flight attendant, Marcus, appeared with the medical kit. "What do we have?" "Possible heart attack. Difficulty breathing. Chest pain." Jessica's hands were steady, but her mind was racing. She pulled out the oxygen mask, placed it over the woman's face. The woman's breathing was shallow, rapid. Her lips were turning blue. Marcus checked the passenger manifest on his tablet. His face went pale. "Jessica, there was a doctor listed on this flight." Jessica's stomach dropped. "What Dr. Maya Reese, seat 12C?" He looked up. "The woman you removed." Time stopped. Jessica's hands froze over the oxygen tank. The name echoed in her head. "Dr. Maya Reese, the woman you removed. Are you sure?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Marcus turned the tablet toward her. There it was. Passenger manifest. Seat 1 to C. Dr. Maya Reese, MD Oncology. Medical clearance attached. Jessica felt the cabin tilt. She'd kicked off a doctor. A real doctor. And now someone was dying. "What do we do?" Marcus hissed. "We're 30 minutes from takeoff. We can't turn around yet." Jessica's mind raced. The woman's breathing was getting worse. They needed help. Real help. She grabbed the intercom again. "If anyone has any medical training, nurse, paramedic, please, come forward." A man in row 24 stood. "I'm a veterinarian." It would have to do as the vet rushed forward. Jessica backed away. She watched him check the woman's pulse, adjust the oxygen, speak to her in calm tones. But Jessica wasn't seeing him. She was seeing Maya, the trembling hands, the quiet dignity. The words, "I'm a doctor," and Jessica's response, "Then you should know better." "Oh God," the plane's captain came over the intercom. "Folks, we're making an emergency landing in Indianapolis. Medical personnel will meet us on the ground." Passengers murmured. Phones came out, typing, filming. Jessica stood frozen in the galley. Her perfect record 8 years without incident was shattering. Marcus touched her arm. "Jess, are you okay?" She wasn't. She really, really wasn't. But the worst part, she had no idea this was just the beginning. The emergency landing was brutal. Sirens wailed as paramedics boarded. The woman was stabilized, barely on rush to a hospital. The vet had kept her alive. The passengers were told they'd continue to their destination on another flight. Hours later, Jessica sat in the crew lounge, numb. Her supervisor, a sharp-eyed woman named Carol, stood over her with crossed arms. "Walk me through what happened," Jessica explained. The sick passenger, the trembling hands, the safety protocol, the removal. Carol's expression darkened. "You removed a credentialed physician. She looked unwell. I made a judgment call." "Did you check her medical clearance?" Jessica hesitated. "She mentioned it, but you didn't verify it." Carol's voice was ice. "You made an assumption based on appearance." Jessica's throat tightened. "I was protecting the flight. You were discriminating against a cancer patient." Carol pulled out her phone, turned it toward Jessica. The video was everywhere. Jessica watched herself on the screen, her voice sharp, dismissive. Maya's quiet dignity. The humiliation on Maya's face as she walked off the plane. The caption, "Flight attendant kicks cancer. Patient off." Plane didn't know she was the doctor who could have saved a life. Views, 2 million. Comments, 47,000. Shares, 89,000. Jessica's hands went cold. Carol put the phone away. "You're suspended. effective immediately. HR will be in touch. Carol, please, there's nothing to say. You violated company policy and basic human decency. Carol's voice softened slightly. I hope that woman on the plane survives. If she doesn't, you'll have to live with that. Jessica sat alone after Carol left. The lounge was empty, silent. She pulled out her own phone. The video was on every platform: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit. The comments were vicious. She deserves to be fired. Imagine treating a doctor like that. This is what happens when you judge people by appearance. I hope she never works again. Jessica's chest constricted. She tried to breathe. Couldn't. She thought about Maya, the way she'd looked at Jessica with those exhausted, pleading eyes. I'm a doctor. I know my body. And Jessica had dismissed her, humiliated her, removed her. What if the woman on the plane had died? What if Maya had been there? Could have helped, and Jessica's arrogance had prevented it. Jessica put her head in her hands. Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister. Is this you? What the hell were you thinking? Another text. For mother. Call me now. Another. A friend. You need to delete your social media. Jessica opened Twitter. Her profile, public, was flooded. Hundreds of messages, threats, insults. She deactivated the account, then Instagram, then Facebook. But the damage was done. Somewhere in Chicago, Dr. Maya Reese was arriving at her conference. Tired, humiliated, but still standing. Jessica Monroe's world was collapsing, and she'd done it to herself. Jessica didn't leave her apartment for 3 days. The curtains stayed closed. Her phone buzzed. Constantly messages, calls, emails, all ignored. She sat on her couch in the same clothes, staring at the ceiling. Her career was over. She knew that. 8 years of perfect service, gone in 30 seconds. But it was more than the job. It was the weight of knowing she'd been wrong, cruelly, arrogantly wrong. She replayed the moment endlessly. Maya's trembling hands, her quiet voice, I'm a doctor, I know my body, and Jessica's response, dripping with disdain, then you should know better. The words haunted her. Her mother had called 17 times. Jessica finally answered on the 18th. What were you thinking? Her mother's voice cracked with disappointment. I was doing my job. Your job is to show compassion. When did you forget that? Jessica had no answer. She hung up. Her sister texted. People are showing up at Mom's house. Reporters, you need to fix this. But how? How do you fix something so broken? Jessica opened her laptop, searched her own name. The results were devastating. Article after article. Flight attendant, suspended for discriminating against cancer patient. Viral video shows shocking treatment of Dr. Jessica Monroe. Where is she now? Her face was everywhere, frozen in that moment of cold judgment. She closed the laptop, looked around her empty apartment. The silence was suffocating. A single thought pierced through the numbness. I need to apologize, but saying sorry felt impossible. Meaningless. What could words do now? Jessica curled up on the couch. For the first time in years, she cried. Not for her career, not for her reputation, but for the woman she'd become, someone who'd forgotten how to see people as human. Somewhere, Maya was probably moving on with her life. Strong, dignified, healed, and Jessica was here alone. Drowning, Maya stood at the podium in the Chicago Grand Ballroom, facing 300 oncologists. Her hands rested on the lectern. Steady. Now, her voice was clear, confident. Behind her, slides displayed 2 years of research data on reducing chemotherapy side effects in pediatric patients. The standard protocol, Maya explained, causes severe nausea in 78% of children under 10. But by adjusting dosage timing and incorporating targeted antiemetics, we reduced that to 41%. The room was silent. Attentive. Maya clicked to the next slide. A photo of Liam, grinning despite his bald head. This is Liam, 6 years old. Leukemia, under the modified protocol. He maintained appetite, energy, and quality of life throughout treatment. He's now in remission. Applause rippled through the ballroom. Maya continued for 20 minutes. When she finished, the audience rose. Standing ovation. Maya's throat tightened. She bowed her head slightly. This was why she fought. This moment. This impact. Afterward, colleagues swarmed her. Congratulations. Questions about trials. Requests for collaboration. Maya answered. Each one exhausted, but fulfilled. Dr. Patel appeared at her elbow. You were brilliant. Maya smiled. Thanks for pushing me to come, Maya. Dr. Patel hesitated. Have you seen the news? Maya's smile faded. What news? Dr. Patel handed her his phone. The video played. Maya watched herself board the plane. Heard Jessica's voice. You're clearly unwell. Saw her own face exhausted, pleading as she was escorted off. The caption, Flight attendant removes cancer patient doctor from plane minutes later. Medical emergency, proves she was needed. Maya's hands tightened around the phone. This is everywhere. 3 million views. It's trending globally. Dr. Patel's voice was gentle. There's more. The airline issued a statement. Jessica Monroe has been suspended. People are calling for her to be fired. Maya handed back the phone. Her chest felt tight. Are you okay? Dr. Patel asked. Maya wasn't sure. Part of her felt vindicated. Seen, another part felt uncomfortable. Jessica had been wrong. Yes, cruel even. But this, public destruction. I need air, Maya said. Outside the hotel, Chicago's evening wind cut through her jacket. Maya walked aimlessly. Processing, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered hesitantly. Dr. Reese. This is Richard Brennan, Senior VP of Operations for the airline. His voice was smooth, corporate. I want to personally apologize for what happened. Your experience was unacceptable. Maya said nothing. We'd like to meet with you, discuss reforms, compensation, whatever makes this right. Nothing makes this right, Maya said quietly. But reforms might prevent it from happening again. Exactly, would you be willing to meet? We're serious about change. Maya hesitated. She thought of Jessica, of the video, of the millions watching. On one condition, Maya said. Jessica Monroe has to be there. Silence. Dr. Reese. I'm not sure that's my condition. If this is about real change, it starts with understanding, not just firing someone and moving on. Another pause. I'll arrange it. Maya hung up. She stared at the Chicago skyline. She wasn't sure if she was being compassionate or foolish. Maybe both. But her mother's voice echoed. Never judge someone's pain. You don't know what battle they're fighting. Even Jessica Monroe deserved that grace. The meeting was set for the airline's headquarters. 2 weeks away, Jessica received the summons via email. You are required to attend a mediation session with Dr. Maya Reese and senior management. Failure to attend will result in immediate termination. Jessica read it 3 times. Her stomach twisted. Facing Maya felt impossible. But refusing meant losing everything, the small chance at redemption. Any hope of working again? She spent the next 2 weeks in limbo. Her suspension continued. Her savings dwindled. She avoided mirrors. Her best friend Tara finally forced her way into the apartment. You look like hell. I feel worse. Tara sat beside her. What are you going to say to her? I don't know. Jessica's voice cracked. Sorry, feels pathetic. It's a start. What if she destroys me? In front of everyone. Tara grabbed her hand. Then, you take it. Because you earned it. Jessica flinched. But Tara was right. She started preparing, not a script, nothing. Felt genuine, but clarity. Why had she done it? Where had her compassion gone? She thought back to her early years as a flight attendant. The excitement, the kindness she'd shown passengers. When had that shifted? Slowly, she realized burnout, years of exhaustion. Passengers who yelled, complained, demanded. She'd built walls, stopped seeing people, started seeing problems, and Maya had paid the price. Jessica wrote Maya a letter. Handwritten, 3 pages. She poured everything into it: shame, regret, recognition of harm. She didn't excuse herself, didn't ask for forgiveness, just acknowledged the truth. She sealed it, decided she'd give it to Maya at the meeting. Meanwhile, Maya reviewed the airline's policy documents. She noted gaps: no mandatory training on disability or medical accommodations, no protocols for handling passengers undergoing treatment, no oversight on attendant discretion. She compiled a list: specific, actionable. This wasn't about revenge, it was about systems. If Jessica had been trained properly, maybe this never happens. Dr. Patel helped her refine the proposals. "You're being generous," he observed. "I'm being practical," Maya corrected. "Destroying Jessica doesn't help the next cancer patient who boards a plane." The night before the meeting, Maya stared at her reflection. Her hair was growing back, short, soft, uneven. She'd stopped wearing scarves. She thought about facing Jessica. The anger had faded. Now she just felt tired, but also determined. Tomorrow, change would begin. The conference room was sterile, white walls, glass table, 7 people: Maya, Jessica, Richard Brennan, 2 lawyers, an HR director, and a corporate mediator. Jessica sat across from Maya. She couldn't look up. Richard Brennan opened. "Thank you both for being here. Dr. Reese, we want to start by offering a formal apology and discussing steps forward." Maya nodded. "I appreciate that. We're proposing several measures: mandatory sensitivity training for all flight crews, revised medical accommodation policies, and a compensation package for your experience." "I don't want compensation," Maya said. "I want systemic change." Richard blinked. "Of course, that's our priority." Maya slid her document across the table. "These are specific reforms: training modules on disability rights, clear protocols for medical passengers, oversight mechanisms. I want them implemented airline-wide within 6 months." The room was silent. Richard scanned the document. "This is comprehensive. It needs to be." Richard nodded slowly. "We'll review and respond within a week." Maya turned to Jessica. "I'd like to hear from Ms. Monroe." Jessica's head snapped up. Her face was pale. "Dr. Reese, her voice broke. "I'm so sorry. What I did was inexcusable. I judged you, humiliated you. I let my own stress and bias override my humanity." Maya's expression was unreadable. Jessica continued, tears forming. "I replayed that day 1,000 times. I wish I could take it back. I wish I'd listened. I wish I'd seen you as a person, not a problem." Maya leaned forward slightly. "Why didn't you?" Jessica swallowed. "I stopped seeing passengers as people. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I became the person I used to hate: cold, dismissive, cruel." The rawness of the admission hung in the air. Maya nodded slowly. "Jessica made a mistake, but the system failed us both. She wasn't trained properly. There were no safeguards. That's what needs to change." Richard looked surprised. "Dr. Reese, are you suggesting—" "I'm suggesting Jessica undergoes the training I'm proposing, and then becomes part of implementing it. She knows what went wrong. She can help prevent it." Jessica stared at Maya, stunned. "Why would you give me that chance?" Maya met her eyes. "Because I've been where you are judged, dismissed, underestimated. The difference is, people gave me chances. Maybe you need one too." Jessica's tears spilled over. "I don't deserve it." "Maybe not," Maya said quietly. "But change happens when we choose growth over punishment." For a moment, hope flickered. Richard Brennan smiled. "This is a productive path forward." Then the HR director spoke. "Ms. Monroe, there's still the matter of your employment status. Public sentiment is overwhelmingly negative. Rehiring you could cause backlash." The hope shattered. Jessica's face crumpled. The lawyers exchanged glances. Maya's jaw tightened. She'd offered grace, but the corporation wanted distance. Nothing was certain, after all. The meeting adjourned. No decisions finalized. Jessica was told they'd be in touch. In the hallway, Maya caught up with her. Jessica turned, wiping her eyes. "Thank you for trying. But I know how this ends. It doesn't end here. Dr. Reese, you've done more than enough. You don't owe me anything. Maya handed her an envelope. I wrote this last night. Read it when you're ready. Jessica took it, confused. What is it? Perspective. Maya turned to leave, then paused. I meant what I said in there. You made a terrible mistake, but you're not beyond redemption. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Jessica watched her walk away, clutching the envelope. Later that evening, Jessica sat in her apartment. She opened the envelope. Inside was a letter. Maya's handwriting was precise, controlled. Jessica, I've thought a lot about that day. About why I'm so angry, not just at you, but at the system that put us in that position. You weren't trained to see me as anything but a liability. I wasn't protected by policies that should have existed. But here's what I know. You're human. You made a choice, born of ignorance, stress, and desensitization. That doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. I've spent 2 years fighting cancer. Some days I wanted to quit, give up, let the exhaustion win. But I kept going because I had people who believed I was worth fighting for. You need someone to believe you're worth fighting for too. I'm not asking you to forgive yourself. I'm asking you to do better, learn, grow. Use this as the moment that changes you, because the world needs fewer people who've given up on compassion and more who've fought to reclaim it. Jessica's hands shook. She read it twice. Then a third time, she thought of her mother, of the flight attendant she used to be, of the person she could still become. She grabbed her laptop, opened a blank document, started typing a proposal for training programs, for policy reforms, for accountability measures. She poured everything into it. 8 years of experience, 2 weeks of reflection, a lifetime of lessons learned too late. It took her all night. When she finished, the sun was rising. She had no idea if anyone would read it, if the airline would care, if she'd ever work again. But for the first time in weeks, she felt something other than shame. She felt purpose. Jessica picked up her phone, texted Tara. I think I know what I need to do. Across town, Maya woke to an email from Richard Brennan. Subject: moving forward. She opened it cautiously. Dr. Reese, your proposals have been reviewed and approved. We're implementing all recommended reforms within 6 months. We'd also like to invite you to participate in developing our training curriculum. Additionally, we've made a decision regarding Ms. Monroe. Given your support and her willingness to change, we're offering her a conditional return pending completion of comprehensive retraining and approbationary period. She'll be part of this process. As you suggested. Maya exhaled slowly. She hadn't expected this. She replied, I'll participate, but only if Jessica is given a real chance. Not just optics, within an hour. Richard responded, You have my word. Maya leaned back, closed her eyes, felt the exhaustion finally lift. Her mother's voice echoed, Compassion isn't weakness, it's strength. She'd chosen strength, and somehow, so had they. 3 months later, the airline held a press conference. The atrium was packed. Reporters, cameras, flashing lights. Maya stood at a podium, poised. Beside her Jessica Monroe. The visual was jarring, powerful. The woman wronged and the woman who wronged her. Side by side, Richard Brennan opened. 3 months ago, Dr. Maya Reese experienced treatment that violated every principle we stand for. Today, we announce comprehensive reforms to ensure it never happens again. He listed the changes: mandatory sensitivity training, medical passenger protections, oversight protocols, anonymous reporting systems. Then he stepped aside. Dr. Reese will explain further. Maya approached the microphone. The room quieted. I'm here not to condemn but to educate, she began. Her voice was steady. 3 months ago, I was removed from a flight because I looked sick. Jessica Monroe made that decision based on fear, bias, and lack of training. Jessica stood frozen, eyes down. But this system failed us both. Maya continued. It failed me by not protecting passengers with medical conditions. It failed Jessica by not preparing her to respond with compassion and knowledge. A reporter called out, "Dr. Reese, why are you standing beside someone who humiliated you?" Maya didn't hesitate, because change happens when we choose understanding over anger. Jessica made a mistake, a painful public mistake, but she's spent 3 months learning, growing, and contributing to reforms that will protect thousands of passengers. She turned to Jessica. That takes courage. Jessica finally looked up, eyes glistening. Maya faced the cameras again. We can destroy people for their mistakes, or we can give them a chance to be better. I choose the latter. Because I'm a doctor, I heal. In this. She gestured to the reforms. To Jessica, to the moment, is how I healed this. The room erupted. Questions flew. A reporter stood. "Ms. Monroe, what do you say to people who think you should be fired?" Jessica stepped to the microphone. Her voice trembled, but held. "I understand why they feel that way. I was wrong. I was cruel. I let stress and bias override basic decency." She paused, looked at Maya. "Dr. Reese gave me something I didn't deserve. Not forgiveness, necessarily, but a chance. I've spent 3 months in training, working with disability advocates, listening to patients like Dr. Reese. I'll spend the rest of my career making sure no one else experiences what she did." Another reporter. "Do you think you've earned the right to fly again?" "I'm not sure I'll ever fully earn it," Jessica admitted. "But I'm trying, every day, to be better than I was." The honesty silenced the room. A journalist in the back asked Maya, "Do you forgive her?" Maya considered. "Forgiveness is personal and ongoing. What matters more is accountability and change." Jessica is accountable. The airline is implementing change. That's what justice looks like to me. The conference continued for 30 minutes. Tough questions, raw answers, but underneath it, all a sense of something shifting. Afterward, as the room emptied, Jessica approached Maya. "I still can't believe you did this." Maya smiled faintly. "I can't believe you showed up. I almost didn't." Jessica handed her a folder. "This is everything I've learned. Every story from passengers with disabilities. Every gap in training I identified. I want to keep doing this. If I never fly again." Maya took the folder, flipped through it, nodded slowly, then, "Keep doing it. The world needs people who've learned these lessons." Jessica's voice cracked. "Thank you for seeing something in me I couldn't see in myself." Maya met her eyes. "We all need someone to see us, even when we don't deserve it." They stood there, 2 women, who'd collided in the worst way now, building something better from the wreckage, outside. The sun broke through Chicago's clouds. Light poured into the atrium. For the first time in months, both women felt something close to peace. 6 months later, Maya walked through her clinic. Her hair had grown back short, dark, healthy. She no longer needed scarves. A little girl in the waiting room stared. "You're Dr. Reese, the plane lady." Maya laughed. "I'm Dr. Reese. Yes." The girl's mother smiled apologetically. "She saw you on the news. You're her hero." Maya knelt beside the girl. "What's your name?" "Sophie." "I have leukemia." Maya's expression softened. "Then you're the hero, not me." Sophie beamed later in her office. Maya reviewed emails. One from Richard Brennan. First quarter results. 94% of flight crews completed new training. 0 incidents reported involving medical passengers. You changed an entire industry. Maya smiled. She'd done more than she'd hoped. Another email from Jessica. Completed my 6-month probation. Back on flights next week. Terrified, but ready. Thank you for believing I could be better, Maya replied. You did the work. Be proud. That evening, Maya attended an awards ceremony. She'd been named Medical Advocate of the Year. The plaque was heavy in her hands. During her acceptance speech, she said, "Advocacy isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when you're exhausted, scared, or hurting. It's about choosing compassion when anger is easier. And it's about believing people can change." The audience stood. Maya looked out at the crowd. Somewhere in there, her colleagues, her patients' families, People she'd never met, but who'd been touched by her story. She thought of Jessica, of the moment that broke them both, and how, somehow, they'd built something beautiful from it. Her mother's words echoed one last time. Dignity is quiet, cruelty is loud. Maya had stayed quiet when it mattered, spoken up when necessary, and in doing both, she'd found her power. Jessica, meanwhile, stood at the front of a training session. 20 flight attendants listened as she shared her story. "I thought I was protecting passengers," she said, "but I was projecting my fear onto someone who deserved compassion. Dr. Reese taught me that strength isn't control. It's vulnerability, admitting when you're wrong, choosing to grow." The attendants nodded, took notes, asked questions. After the session, a young attendant approached. "Thank you for sharing that. I almost made the same mistake last week." Jessica squeezed her shoulder. Then, "We're doing this right." She checked her phone. A text from Tara. "Proud of you." Another from her mother. "You're becoming the person I always knew you could be." Jessica exhaled. She'd never fully escape what she'd done. The video still existed. The shame still lingered. But she was trying, every single day, and that, Maya had taught her, was enough. A year later, Maya sat in her clinic's garden. Spring bloomed around her tulips, daffodils, life returning. A young patient, Liam, ran past, fully in remission. His laughter echoed. Maya smiled. This was the sound of victory. Her phone buzzed. A message from Jessica. "Just helped a passenger with MS board, safely. Remembered everything you taught me." "Thank you," Maya replied. "You're teaching yourself. Keep going." She leaned back, closing her eyes. Voiceover. "We all make mistakes. Some wound, some destroy. But the measure of character isn't the mistake, it's what we do after." The camera pulls back. Maya, in the garden. Sun, filtering through trees. Do we double down, or do we grow? Do we seek revenge, or do we seek change? Cut 2. Jessica on a plane, helping an elderly man with oxygen. Her smile is genuine, kind. Maya chose compassion. Jessica chose change. And in that choice, both found redemption. Cut to a split screen. Maya, with her patients. Jessica, training new attendants. Sometimes the people who hurt us become the ones who teach us the most. The screens merge, Maya and Jessica. Months later, speaking together at a medical conference. Two women, once divided by judgment, now united by understanding and sometimes. Forgiveness isn't about excusing the harm, it's about refusing to let that harm define us. Final image. Maya standing in her clinic, looking out a window. The headscarf from that day hangs on a hook, not hidden, but honored. A reminder of the battle fought and won. She touches it gently, smiles, walks away toward her next patient. Strength isn't never falling. It's getting back up and reaching down to help someone else rise too. That's justice. That's healing. That's how we change the world, one act of grace at a time. The screen fades to white.